Building is better than buying a home. These are my beliefs. This is what my experience has given me insight in over the years of not only looking at the way people live, but also the benefits of designing and building your own home. So now I'm going to talk about some economic benefits of why designing and building is better than buying. So the first one is you'll pay builder's costs versus market costs. Market costs is always going to be a way higher number than the builder's cost, because in the current market, the way it works, the builder or the developer, they have a cost. That developer wants to make money, so they're going to put the house on the market at market cost. So, and most developers, and builders are not, again, these aren't conversations that are just open in the marketplace, but this is the way it works. I mean, it is common sense. If a developer builds a house for $350,000, they probably want to sell it for $550,000. They want to make a profit, right? So the buyer now is buying this property for $550,000. They're spending $200,000 over what the house actually costs to build. So when you are designing and building your own home, you are buying at builder's cost versus market cost. You're buying the foundation team, you're buying the framers, you're buying the roofers, you're buying the HVAC, you're buying the electricians, you're buying the labor and materials that it takes to build the house. It is always, always cheaper in most cases, let me say that. I mean, I don't know, if you're putting a jacuzzi in the elevator for a 2-story house, but you're always buying less when you are functioning as the builder, okay, versus if you are buying at market rate as just a homeowner who didn't have any involvement in the process. So you're going to spend less. So that $700,000, that $900,000 house that you love and you think is so glorious, it probably costs 2/3 of that to build it, just depending on what that developer's markup and all that is. So if you can design and build your own home, especially if this is your forever home or home you're going to be in for a while, you'll actually come out a little cheaper in that process. Although, yes, you got to pay for architects and, there are fees associated. I'm just saying in most cases, those fees are going to be a lot less. Now, let's say they were even the same, but you get all those benefits that I just talked about. The creative freedom, the layout and all that. I mean, so you're still making out, even if the costs were the same, you're still going to make out better. But in most cases, the costs are going to be way less. These developers are not building things out here as nonprofits. They're building them for a profit, right? They want to make a certain amount of money over what they're spending. So the other financial or economic benefit is the instant equity. When you buy the house at a market rate, I mean, you pretty much, there's no equity, right? You got to wait for equity to build up. You have to wait for your home to appreciate. That's because you're buying at market rate. You're buying at the market value. When you are building your own home and you're spending out of pocket just what it costs to build the home, then you get the home appraised at market value. Now, all of a sudden, you have this equity in the home. You spent $350,000 to build the home. The home is worth $550,000 on the market. You automatically have $200,000 of equity. I mean, that type of financial positioning is just so smart, right? So beneficial versus the average person. They get into a home, they're buying it at what it's appraised for. Unless they got a hookup, they're buying it what's appraised for. You got no equity. You just made the biggest investment in your life and you got no equity. The last economic benefit is what I call value engineering. You have the ability to value engineer. So I have a small space in this new house, and because I'm the designer and the builder of the house, this small space is it's not really a room. Right? It's a room, but not really a bedroom. But I knew what to do. I put a window and I put a closet in this room, right? I'm only using it as a room, but for listing and appraisal purposes, it's being classified as a bedroom. So now instead of my home being a 3-bedroom home, it's a 4-bedroom home. So now my appraisal comparisons have to be with other homes that are at least 4 bedrooms. Now, I don't use that room as a bedroom, right? I use it as a storage room. But because it has those things, that's value engineering. You have the ability to engineer the type of value that the house can possibly have based on your input or, your choices that you make. I mean, everything from fixtures to flooring, to layout, you are engineering what the potential value is of that property when you have the ability to make those decisions, right? This flooring type or this room type or this dimension type or the completion of this is going to affect the value of the home. So you have the ability of making that decision of what to do to affect that value. Windows, that's a big thing right there, right? Window placement, size, all those things affect value. Doors, little things like that, right? So you're value engineering. So you have that ability to value engineer your own home when you are designing and building your own home. So I think, after explaining these things, so we begin to see that it's so beneficial on a functional, a psychological, an economic level. It's just way better. But why aren't we doing that more? Why isn't there a big push to get us to design and build our own homes? Breaking free from the matrix of home ownership is about taking control of our abilities. It's about assuming the responsibility of crafting, being a part of the crafting of this most sacred element that we call shelter, our homes. Most of us have absolutely no involvement, no participation beforehand. All right, once we buy the house, we'll put up our pictures, we'll, put up a mirror, we may change something small or whatever. But most of us are entering something that was premeditated, that was developed by someone else, that was built by someone, it was designed by someone else. And I think that really robs us of the responsibility of having a more direct impact or a direct involvement in this thing that we call shelter, right? I think it's almost like a sacred responsibility for us to be more involved in that. I mean, someone else wasn't building your home a long time ago in many cultures, right? Building a home was something that you did. You were responsible for creating your shelter. You were responsible, even more than that. I mean, people were responsible for literally building their entire ecosystem. Everyone in the tribe or village had a hand in some way in the process of creating the built environment. It's like now we're in this world where the built environment around you, you have no input. The place you work, the place you live, the place you worship, there's just no input from you. You're just walking in some building that somebody else did and you don't even know who did it. There's a sacred element to building. There's a sacred element to each brick that is stacked up. This is sacred work. Most people don't see it, but that's because most people haven't experienced it and don't understand. I guarantee you, if you go through the process of designing and building your own home, you will understand exactly what I am talking about right now. I guarantee you, anybody that goes through the process of designing and building their own home, that's not a home that they're going to leave anytime soon. They're going to be connected to it, not just connected to the output, they're connected to the process. We're missing something in our world where people are disconnected from the process of developing things, whether it's products we consume, or in this case, we're talking about homes. We're disconnected from our homes. This is why people are moving so quick. They're in a home here, or people are in apartments because they don't even want that connection, that deeper connection to a home to say, I built this. This is my space. I own this space and I'm responsible for maintaining and upkeeping this space, right? So I am urging people to, especially now in the state we're in, the housing market that we're in, the housing crisis that we're facing in this country, let's start thinking different. Let's start believing in ourselves. Let's start thinking that, you know what, I can get a piece of property, learn, and build a home. It doesn't have to be the best home. It doesn't have to be magnificent, but it's yours. You built it. You designed it. You don't necessarily have to do all the work, but you at least be the general contractor. You at least be the person who's orchestrating everything. You be the one to say, you want the room here. You want the room there. You want the wall here. I know that's what architects are for, but architects can listen. Architects can take the input from the homeowner, the person who actually has to live in that home. So I'm telling people, take responsibility for your built environment. Take responsibility for your shelter. Take responsibility. Break free from this matrix of home ownership where we think the only way to get a home or live in our dream home is to go get a realtor, have that realtor show you a bunch of houses that someone else built, and then you got to make a choice of the lowest 5 options that are available to you of buying a house. And you really don't even want to be there, but you have no choice because you got to buy a house. You want a house for whatever reason, right? Let's just think different. Let's do different. I know we can do it. If I did it, and I've done it twice. I'm in my second home that I built from scratch. If I can do it, I know anyone else can do it. It's not a special thing. It requires a lot of discipline. It requires a lot of learning. It requires you to immerse yourself in this field of construction and development, but it will last you a lifetime. The connection, you just can't replace that connection. There's no price you can put on the connection you'll have in your home if you design and build it. This is why I believe designing and building your home is better than buying. So let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it's something you're interested in. And if I can help guide you, if I can help offer some guidance, I'll talk more about this on other episodes, because this is something that I believe in. This is something that I've done. It's something I believe in, and it's something that I'll be pushing more people to do if they have the ability. They just have to believe in themselves. And I'm all about people believing in themselves and believing in their greater capacity. Thank you for tuning into the show. Like the show, subscribe, comment, be a part of the experience. I'm Munir Bahar. This is Conversations with the Contractor.